Hello, everybody. This is Reno by Night, the world's most richest and mightiest city. And today we are in the Silver. No, we're not in the Silver Legacy. We are in the Atlantis Casino. The seneschal of the city have been taken invite from the man named Mr. Graves, saying that there are some hunters in the town, and he his mortuary have been find out, and he wants to meet in the mortuary. He face palms and puts the letter to his table and invites his daughter to the near him, let's just say, yeah. And then he says that I want to listen classic music. He went lower side of his casino. The whole ballroom is just for him, and there are. He takes his bottle, no, not the bottle of wine. Yeah, let's just say bottle of wine. A vine, by the way. And he listens to classic music that the his daughter plays for him with piano.
Um, as the seneschal is in repose listening to his daughter's music, he would receive either a message or a text or phone call from one of his guards indicating that there is an Alex Blackmoon who has entered the casino and wishes to speak with him.
He will tell the guards that let her come here. She is a guest, and they will bring a bottle as well for her. Like blah, they will prepare the meals, blah blah blah. Everything is fine, and you will enter a ball. You have been here before. We are in the city for quite a long time. This is not the Elysium part. You have been in the high society parties maybe, and the this is the ballroom of the casino, and this is a really big part of it. But again, there's only classic music, and the Falcone inside who's near the candlelight just watches her daughter.
Before Miss Blackmoon arrives, the phone of Mr. Falcone will go off again. This time it is a message from the prince. It simply says, "We need to talk as soon as possible. Our mutual concern and our mutual friend means we must take exceeding caution in nights to come."
And you might receive a text after that from an unknown number saying, I got this message. I got this phone number from the Harpy of the city. I'm looking to present myself to the seneschal of the city. I've already done so to the prince and the Harpy. This is Madison LaRouge. Expect me soon.
The prince will first call back the prince that he is in his casino and he can come near him, or if he wishes, he can prepare something for him in his casino. And he will text back. He will. His man, actually, not himself. His man will text back to the third person who has texted him. Says the seneschal is in the casino, and you may come to casino to represent yourself.
She will be inbound then. From what I know, she at least spends one night a week in the actual city seeking out. So this will be her night of the week. Let's just say that.
So who's coming first? Okay.
I'm already there.
Yeah, you're already there.
I'm sorry.
You enter. You enter and see Falcone in a candlelight, and you see he will get up from his chair, and he will not leave the table. He will still wait to you near the table.
Lady Blackmoon makes her entrance. As she does, she keeps looking over her shoulder. She looks very, very agitated. She's somewhere between angry and disconcerted. She's just after she's witnessed, what she's now got to relate to the seneschal. Hopefully, before the prince gets there, or before the prince gets to him, she walks in and extends her hand, and she looks to him with all seriousness, and she says, "Is it safe to speak in here, Leo?"
It is. He takes the hand, kisses, gives the hand back, and he motions to her daughter to lower the voice down a little, or play a slow tone. Slow tone. Slow tone. What is tone? Like
Tempo?
slow tone. Slow tone. And yeah, he will sit and he will wait for Lady Blackmoon to sit. And I'm all ears, Lady Blackmoon.
Lady Blackmoon kind of slumps in the seat and motions to the bottle there to ask if she can pour herself a glass, because oh God, does she need it.
You see that there's one for him and one for you, and two more. There's two more.
She does notice that, so she realizes that her time may be brief. She pours a glass and takes a hefty sip, and as it digests, she looks at him and she says, I hate to use vulgarity, Leo, but I think we may be fucked.
He smiles and says, "Who? Is someone betrayed?"
She sighs and she says, "Mr. Graves."
Is he Sabat?
She sighs again and she says, "If only it were that easy." She then, just to speed things along, relates to him that he insulted the prince, defied direct orders, withheld information from the prince, tried to escape, and ended up getting staked. And he is now under the watch of Cameron Forsyth in the bowels of the Tangiers Casino, waiting for the prince's judgment. And that there are hunters in town, and that for some reason both Emma and Graves have garnered their attention. Lastly,
I got
almost
their
done.
attention as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did. But she doesn't know that. Lastly, she says that her coterie mate, Mike, got into a fight with one of these hunters and was nearly killed, but was dumped in front of Graves's mortuary alive, or, torpid. So they know almost all there is to know about most of the kindred in town, and this is why she's upset. And folks can enter after Amishan responds.
She's like, you see, Falcone smiles. Lady Blackmoon, there will be always a Sabat pack in town, even if you don't know they are or not. And there will be hunters in town, and we did not fuck. I have been watched and followed after I went to Graves' mortuary, and I after the night after that night, I had a high society party in here, in this room. I talked with the police chief, and you know what happened? I told him that I'm going to invest in police force in the Reno, and I have a tail because of that, and then no tail.
She listens and nods, and go ahead.
The human influence will stop these hunters. When we got the name of their leader, I have a plan to make I have a plan in my mind at the moment, and even if you don't use it, we can use something else. When my police influence comes to me, his hands is getting tough, and you see there's an anger a little there. He still doesn't have his police influence, and he takes a deep breath and says, "This the Graves saddens me. Its foolishness will be punished. Maybe we should talk with the sheriff, which I don't see for a really long time, to behead him, or Prince will make the decision, and I will do what about the princess.
This is when Madison LaRouge will be escorted into the room. She is dressed in boots, jeans, and a tank top, and a leather jacket going over it. And you do not hear the sound of a cat screaming in the background, I promise.
Yeah.
And she will stroll forward. You can tell she probably has a little bit of, well, no, she has confidence in her strides as she's making her way towards the table, since that's probably the only one that is occupied at the time.
You see the man looks towards you, and you see this stern face, just like you're an Ancilla, you have seen seneschals before, but this guy looks like that he doesn't smile, or even from the outfit you understand this guy is a Ventru. He gets up, still waits at the near the table, and doesn't say anything. It looks like he waits.
My apologies for possibly intruding on your guys' discussion, but my name is Madison LaRouge. You gave me permission to come here to present myself.
He nods.
Lady Blackmoon would have gotten up out of her chair and turned to face Madison, as she does not know her, and she's on edge tonight.
My apologies for, again, she'll turn to Lady Blackmoon. My apologies again for interrupting. My name is Lady Blackmoon. She'll hold out her hand to Lady Blackmoon.
Lady Blackmoon will kind of look Madison up and down and narrow her eyes a little bit. She will tentatively offer her hand, and she will say, "Where do you hail from?"
New Orleans.
Huh.
Can we do a roll for remembering you as a failed sheriff of New Orleans?
Yeah, why not?
Perception, kindred lore?
Yeah,
Sure.
why not? I'll go for it.
Oh, wait, I will check. My kindred lore. Where is this thing? Yeah, 4. And I think I remember.
Oh, bollocks.
So her
Yeah.
reputation precedes her.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily, since it's that many rolls, it would just be, you wouldn't necessarily see her as a failure. A lot of shit just happened at the same time and could easily just be like overwhelming.
No, I actually just know somebody from New Orleans as well, so it's good to know somebody who is come from New Orleans, but I don't say any of them. He just motions you to sit if you want to talk. Pardon, I just can't remember your name, I'm sorry. What was your character's name?
Madison.
Madison LaRouge, right?
Yes.
Miss LaRouge, please sit. And Falcone sits. You see he's having his cane in his hand. Miss Madison, welcome to our dear city.
Thank you. Thank you for the open arms, as well as my other fellow kindred from New Orleans. And I do speak of Kent.
Charisma performance? No.
I knew that'd be going.
It's just like I don't. You are kind of.
Lady Blackmoon would smirk as you mentioned Kent, and her demeanor softens a little bit, and she says, "So you're a friend of Mr. Kent?"
Acquaintance is more like it. I just humbly say his name because he is an old resident of New Orleans. I did not catch your name, though. She points to Lady Blackmoon.
As she points, her eyes kind of follow the finger that's being leveled at her, and then
It's just really quick. It's just like, your name.
yeah, she catches it, and she lifts her eyes to Madison's, and she says, "My name is Alex Blackmoon. I'm a prefect here, but It's very nice to meet you. And she sits back down and kind of focuses back on her drink as she desperately needs it.
And Madison is suddenly smiling. Finally, we meet. I'm certain you know of a Cara Brothers?
She puts her drink down as soon as she hears that. And she says, I haven't heard from Pyra. How do you know her?
She is merely the exact reason I'm here. Besides the fact that my fellow kindred have flocked here for refuge, I made my way north from New Orleans before heading west and came across Boston. And I met Pyra Brothers there. Apparently, the mission that I was helping on while in Boston to earn some rank there to stay there was meaningful to her. We found her sister Chloe in Wisconsin, of all places, and brought her back to Boston. It seems Pyra was on a mission in Los Angeles, or Las Vegas, sorry, I get those confused. And her sire asked for her to come home. We switched places so I can take care of her belongings, including the cats that seem to scurry away from me in a hurry, in exchange for me to have Haven here.
Lady Blackmoon sighs and nods, and she says, that's quite a story. After you hear ours, you may rethink staying in our sweet little city. And
I've already been hearing stories.
So are we getting an entrance?
Go for it, Ben!
The Seneschal Falcone looks at the Madison, Miss Madison, and says, I'd like to hear more about the stories happening in New Orleans.
As would I, says a voice from the entrance of the room as Prince Alvarez makes his entrance.
And she just kind of goes, ugh.
It's a pleasure to see you again, Lady Blackmoon. Mr. Falcone.
Lady Blackmoon will rise
out
of her seat
Falcone.
And bow.
Yeah,
She's surprised to see him again. And she will take a seat.
Falcone will stand.
Here, Alex, I assume that you have informed Mr. Falcone of the events that transpired earlier in the evening.
She nods and says, that's why I came here, to make sure he was kept apprised and where our prisoner is being kept. And she smiles.
Excellent. As he will take a seat sort of adjacent to her and Mr. Falcone.
After you sit, Falcone will sit. Like, while you were on your foot, he didn't sit, but after you sit, Falcone will sit as well. There's a bottle in front of you.
As he will sort of just take it without looking at it and pouring it into one of the glasses that are there. You'll see he smiled that the Seneschal has prepared ahead as usual. That brings us to the all-important question of what are we going to do about this predicament?
He looks at Madison and says, behead him, and it will be example for the new people.
If only it were that easy. Are you familiar with the project that Mr. Graves was working on, Mr. Falcone?
He shakes his head.
When he petitioned to join my coterie, he said that he was working on a grand, I'm not sure whether it was a ritual, but some sort of project that would allow a tremendous boon to the Camarilla and our coterie. This was before, of course, our prince was elevated to his now current position, and I assumed the vacancy, of course. From what he said earlier today, even in his drunken state, I'm not exactly sure if he was wrong. You remember, don't you, Miss Blackmoon?
She smiles and kind of drains her glass, and to make a point, she takes the glass and she breaks it. She doesn't shatter it, but you basically have, the cup part of the glass and the stem, and then she puts it on the table in front of everyone. And she says, much like this glass, he can be fixed, he may be repaired. The question is he worth the effort?
That is the question.
Madison kind of raises a hand.
Yes, Miss
I'm
LaRouche.
kind of curious. What exactly are we talking about? I'm sorry, I live 13 miles away from the nearest gas station right now.
You should find a place within the city, then. In fact, I recently had a very lovely apartment block renovated. It's now within the domain of the St. Augustine Church. It's going to be open for the kindred very soon. Havens upon which can be...
I actually am staying at a place. I owe one of Lady Blackmoon's coterie members a favor.
Ah, I see.
Well, she owes me a favor.
She looks at
Mhm.
Madison and says, well, it appears that you and I must talk. However, she looks over to the Seneschal. Can this woman be trusted with this matter? These are city issues that we should be discussing.
Well, after the King's Prince, and the lastly I am going to tell, I think that you both will agree with me. And if Pure Brothers trust this person, I also trust. And I believe she can stay at my casino in this hotel. She of course, when she finds a place for herself, she can leave. But for that time, she can stay at here under my watchful eyes.
As for her skill, if I'm not mistaken, she was the ex-sheriff of Patrick McKinnon, the former Prince of New Orleans.
She nods and says, well, if this woman held Camarilla office, I'm fine. I'm fine with her being here. Perhaps she has some insight on what to do with walking breaches of the masquerade.
Indeed so. Miss LaRouche, what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, I am quite... I heard briefly before I entered the room that there was something about hunters. Is that correct?
Unfortunately, says the prince as his posture becomes far more rigid, it seems that a group of them have been tailing individuals these past few nights. One of my initiates
And then
was
to
able
follow me,
recover
then.
a map from them, highlighting several havens that are under the control of members of our city.
Lady Blackmoon will
I
continue.
welcome them to follow me then and find out what happens.
She sighs and shakes her head and looks at...
Sorry. Go ahead, April. Sorry.
No, it's fine. She's just, she says, Miss LaRouche, one of my friends and coterie members who is a gangrel and no slouch was almost murdered by one of these hunters. This is not a light matter, and I don't know you all that well, but I can assure you I would not meet any one of these alone. I don't care if you're Cain. And she smiles.
Well, I have a way to
Then
solve
I
this
will share
issue.
a tale with you.
But go on, Mr. Rouge.
Sorry, my
Go on, Mr.
internet's
Rouge.
cutting out, so I'm sorry if my voice finally like cuts in while something.
Tell us your story, Mr. Rouge.
But she goes, I have a tale for you. When I was embraced by my sire, he did not mention that he was being hunted specifically by not just any, dabblers, hunters. And because failed I failed to meet the requirements of easy prey, they've made it a chore to hunt me. And they have been hunting me since. I will be honest with that. But I doubt that it is the same hunters that have been hunting me for a long time. This sounds relatively new.
Lady Blackmoon nods and says nothing at this point.
Since it is time for tales around here. Sorry, Mr. Falcone.
Please go on, my prince.
Since we are swapping tales around this table tonight, tell me, have any of you ever heard tales of people under the protection of God?
Lady Blackmoon will turn to the prince and say, was this what the Toreador dancer was referring to when she mentioned gold surrounding these people?
Yes. As the prince's tone takes on a very peculiar tone at the mention of that. Yes, that is what I am talking about. It is equal parts legend, equal parts nightmare amongst some of the oldest members of the Camarilla, and even our enemies. Tales of hunters who were given a divine flame by God, a flame that would scourge those who bore the mark of evil upon them, whether they be kindred, whether they be lupine, whether they be any other abomination in God's eye. I know, I used to think so too. But like you said, every once in a while, one of our kind corners a person, tries to extend influence, tries to prey, and they cannot look upon the person, their fangs cannot touch them, their words cannot corrupt them, almost inexplicably. Like I said, there could be many reasons for this, but it is a legend, nonetheless. And all legends have some roots in truth.
Lady Blackmoon nods and begins to kind of drum her fingers on the table, and she looks to Miss LaRouge and she says, if you choose to stay, you must account for your personal safety. You understand? And she smiles.
I completely understand. I do, honestly. I'm not trying to be proud, even for clan's sake. But I must say, I hate to keep this meeting short. But is there anything you wish of me to attend to before I leave tonight? Any other? I will look into the missing persons like you asked, Prince.
Unfortunately,
I don't know if he's frozen. There we go.
Unfortunately, the potential feeding practices of one of our less cautious is the least of our concerns right now. Look into it if you have the chance. But for now, our primary focus are on these hunters. I know one thing. They're somehow connected to the Church of St. Paul. You're familiar with the place, right, Miss Blackmoon? Mr. Falco?
She nods solemnly. As the prince is speaking, Lady Blackmoon withdraws a card for Forever and a Day, slides it to Miss LaRouge.
Thank you. Pretty sure you would like to hear more about your coterie, man.
Yeah. Since I take it you're about to take
and
off.
She is in constant contact with me.
And she nods.
Yes, I am.
In that case, the prince will say...
Thank you for the card. Thank you for the invite and the vitae.
Prince will say, if you can look into the matter of the hunters, it would be appreciated, and you'll be able to earn your place in this city faster, and with added rewards.
She kind of smirks at that, you know, the trying to figure out the hunters, and she just kind of smirks, saying, "I will do that with much pleasure." Thank you all again for the presentation. Nice to meet you again, Prince. And it was... Thank you. Y'all have a lovely night.
Guys, if you want, I can set up another hangout so Emily can easily leave.
Oh, that's right. She's running the scene, right? Okay. Yeah, go ahead. So we will stop here and continue. Thank you for watching, everyone.
Emily, end the scene!
Dun, 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 dun.
I'll go ahead and close this. I'm sorry. Bye.